My name is Orna Feinstein, and this is Papellibrium. My work is about nature, and especially about organic geometries as seen under the microscope and as seen with the naked eye. For this installation, I have chosen to create a field of flowers that also operates on a cellular level, as it looks like a cross-section of a plant material as seen under the microscope. It all started in 2008, where I was scheduled to have an exhibition at the Printing Museum in Houston. That was September of 2008, when Hurricane Ike hit Houston 2 weeks prior to the opening. The curator called me and asked me to move the opening date as the gallery was damaged and people were busy fixing their homes. So we postponed the exhibition to October of that year, but that was after the museum printed over 2,000 invitations. Loving those invitations, I asked her to give me those invitations with the wrong opening date, of course, and promised to create an installation out of those cards. I created an installation for the museum and then was asked to make it again for the closing reception. At that time, I also made the installation for U of H at the Bluffer Gallery and at the Project Gallery at the Sculpture Department at the university. By the time I finished with those 4 installations, I started to get calls from galleries asking me if I want their cards, to which I said, of course, not knowing that I will make some more large installation out of them. But I kept the cards, and with time, the idea came to create a more larger installation that will include other patterns. And that's when I started to sew the cards instead of taping the cards. I added another skill. I bought a sewing machine and started to stitch the cards together and boxing them up, and started to send proposals to nonprofit organizations and had the big installation at Box 13 in 2012. And then, larger than that, I created this Papellibrium for women and their work. This installation is also part of a series of installations that I created from paper and from plastics. Some of them were outdoors, where I used plastics instead of papers, but they all talk about the equilibrium between numerous elements like organic and geometric, black and white, color and black and white. Then we have text and image, size, all of those. And all of those installations were titled like Equilibrium in the park, and then Multilibrium, and this is Papellibrium because it's made out of a lot of paper. So this installation contains more than 30,000 cards from different galleries and museums. And it started in 2008, where I prepared the first installation probably from 1,200 cards. I was thinking that at the end of the show, I will send it back to recycle it into another paper, but after I spent so much time creating it, I decided to save it in boxes. And then when more cards came along, I kept them in boxes, and when I had spare time, I was sewing those cards and storing them in boxes. So it's been a labor of about 9 years on and off, of course not continuously, but sewing and storing and collecting for 9 years. I had several galleries that shut down operation after several years, maybe several decades, and they gave me a call and asked me if I want their cards, and I said, of course. When I went there, it was like such a treasure. I have cards from 20 years ago that are still around in good shape, and they are beautiful as part of the Papellibrium right here. I like this shape a lot. Yeah. This is from you. They are triangles put together and they create this. I usually don't do triangles because it's not organic. But this one, it forced me to do triangles, so like pyramids. So when I put them together, it came organic again. So some of the shapes that I use in the installations are circular and might resemble a tree trunk with the growth rings. And they are made probably out of 200-300 cards in each trunk. And the thread stays there. It probably represents spider webs, you know, and animals that visit the old material in nature and recycle that material as well. So they become part of the installation as well. So first I stitch the cards and I create like a leaf shape out of it. But then when I punch a hole in the center and I string them and put them together, it becomes a flower. And this is also part of the installation with multiple patterns for different flowers. This, by the way, is also the original card from 2008 from my exhibition at the Museum of Printing History in Houston. So it's still beautiful and nice after all those years. For the viewer who comes to see the installation, I would like for them to first enjoy the walk through the field and take in as much as they can visually, but also to think about recycling and reusing in today's society where trash is like a major pile everywhere. I want people to think how can reuse things and make them functional in a different way. Who would have thought that, you know, paper that usually goes in the trash and maybe becomes another paper for somebody else becomes a piece of art that is so beautiful, and although ephemeral, it's still a source of joy and can last for many, many years.